Hello, Krista here with Books and Jams, and I am so excited because Middle Grade March is just days away. Katie from Life Between Words and I have been putting together recommendations and our TBRs, and hopefully you are thinking about what middle grade books that you might want to be reading or picking up during the month. I've put together for you today a collab video of over 30 amazing booktubers recommending their favorite or one of their favorite middle grade books. I'm so excited for you to watch and see and maybe get a new idea of a book that you've never heard of before. Hopefully 1 or 2 or 30 of these jump out at you and you add them to your TBR. I've sorted the video into our 5 challenges for the read-a-thon, which are books that have won an award, books that have been made into a movie, classic middle grade books, childhood favorites, and books with diversity in them. I have also included at the end a group of bonus recommendations that don't necessarily fit into any of the categories. You will notice that some of these books overlap and can fit into multiple categories, so be sure to watch all of them. But if you're particularly looking for recommendations that fit one of the challenges, I have included timestamps in the description below so that you can break it up and watch this video in little chunks. So without any further ado, enjoy these recommendations.
Hey, my name is Lisa and I'm here to recommend to you one of my favorite middle grade reads, and that happens to be The Lions of Little Rock. This is a New York Historical Society Children's Book Prize winner. It is a very powerful historical fiction set in 1958 Little Rock, Arkansas. This is the time frame where schools have begun to shut down in the city because the city is divided with integration with the schools between blacks and whites. So we're gonna follow 12-year-old Maddie and her new best friend Liz as they defy the rules of racism, and they show us what the meaning of fairness, equality, and true friendship really means. I hope you all enjoy.
Hey guys, I'm Brittany with Brittany Reads. I have a lot of books that I've read recently that are middle grades and their favorites, but for this, I wanted to go old school and share with you one of my favorite books when I was actually a middle school student, and that is Holes by Louis Sachar. So in this book, the main character Stanley has terrible luck because of a curse that was placed on his great-great-grandfather. And as part of this terrible luck, Stanley is sent to a juvenile detention center for a crime he didn't even commit. And as part of his sentence there, he has to dig these huge holes in the ground with the other detainees. And Stanley quickly figures out that they have to dig these holes because the warden is searching for something, and that something is actually connected to the curse that was placed on Stanley's family. Like pretty much every book that Louis Sachar has ever written, this book is hilarious, it is zany, but it also says a lot about the power of friendship, and it talks a lot about the destructive nature of hatred to only sow more hatred. This book has won both the Newbery Medal and the National Book Award.
Hello bookworms, my name's Jade, and you can usually find me over on my booktube channel, Bedtime Bookworm. Today I'm here to talk to you about a middle grade book that is a childhood favorite of mine. This book is Redwall by Brian Jacques, and it's the first book in the Redwall series. This first book in the series was also the winner of a couple of awards, according to Goodreads, including being the winner of the West Australian Young Readers Book Award for older readers in 1990, and the winner of the Rebecca Caudle Young Readers Book Award from 1992. It's definitely not a series in the traditional sense. It's more of a series where everything takes place in the same world, but each book stands on its own. The series as a whole is all about these anthropomorphized woodland creatures. Most of these books are a story of good versus evil. It often ends in some sort of big battle between the good guys and the bad guys. I definitely recommend Redwall and the rest of the series, especially as an introduction to fantasy. I think this is a fantastic book and series for young readers and adults alike.
Hey there Booktube, I'm Karen. You may know me from my channel Run Right Reads. A lot of the books that I talk about on my channel are literary fiction aimed at adults, but I started to love reading when I was just a child, and so when Krista told me about the Middle Grade March read-a-thon, I jumped at the chance to tell you about some of the books that I enjoyed when I was just a middle grader myself, and the books that fostered my passion for reading. I read a lot of mysteries like the popular Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys series, as well as a lesser known one called the Bobbsey Twins, which was about a family of 2 sets of twins who were adorable as childhood detectives, even if the mysteries that they solved was nothing more serious than finding someone's missing toy. And every now and then I enjoy reading one of those books from my childhood and taking a trip down memory lane to a time when books for children were a little bit simpler, a little bit more wholesome, and didn't deal with a lot of social issues, but allowed children to read books that helped them identify with other people dealing with changing bodies, changing families, and learning how to establish strong relationships. And even now as an older reader, sometimes I discover a book that meets that criteria, and I find a new book that I would have enjoyed if I had found it when I was that age. One such book is The West End Game by Ellen Raskin. This is a Newbery Medal winner. It's a mystery novel about an eccentric, reclusive millionaire who leaves a will that names his unrelated neighbors as heirs to his estate with a condition that they have to solve the mystery of his death in order to inherit. But while it is a mystery and the reader is invited to go through the clues and stay one step ahead of the characters in trying to solve the mystery, the book is really about relationships and the value that we place on them, and also what wealth really means. So this is a book that I recommend to middle graders as well as to adults who like a little taste of nostalgia mixed in with an expertly written book. So if you haven't read The West End Game, I recommend that you pick it up during the Middle Grade March read-a-thon. And until then, happy reading.
Hi, my name is Sylvia. I have a YouTube channel called Sylvia K, and on my channel I talk about a wide variety of genres. I read everything pretty much. I read fantasy, I read sci-fi, I read classics, I read contemporary fiction, especially women's fiction. I read children's books and middle grade, of course, which is the topic of this video. And my favorite middle grade book that I want to recommend to you today is Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. I think most of you will have heard of this book before because it's quite a classic as far as middle grade fantasy is concerned. This book takes place in a fictional kingdom and the main character is called Ella, and she is cursed with a gift from a fairy godmother that compels her to obey every order she is given. So if someone tells her to kill herself, theoretically she has to kill herself. And of course many people take advantage of this as soon as they realize what's going on. So Ella Enchanted is not just a middle grade fantasy novel, it is also a fairy tale retelling because it is a retelling of Cinderella. Ella is Cinderella. She has a fairy godmother, but she also has stepsisters and a stepmother, and she is in a very precarious situation where everyone's taking advantage of her. But she will use her resourcefulness and intelligence to try to make her life better. And I will leave the rest open because I don't want to spoil the whole book. But it is a wonderful little gem of children's literature / middle grade literature. It is a very heartwarming tale, and one bonus thing which I loved about this book is the fact that Ella is a major language nerd, and I myself am really into languages, so I loved that. Hi, my name is Lindsay and welcome to my channel Wandering Reader. Today I'm going to be recommending The Secret Garden, and this is by Frances Hodgson Burnett. If you've been following my channel for a while, then you'll know that I absolutely love this middle grade book. It is a classic and it centres around the story of a little girl who is taken in by her uncle when her parents die, and her uncle lives on this really sprawling estate with a massive garden out the back. And it's about her experience living in these new conditions and discovering this garden for herself, and it is so magical and so lovely. And I just remember rereading and rereading this book so many times as a child because I absolutely loved it. I do remember the movie version of this too, so yeah, and I remember watching that over and over again as well. So if you're looking for a classic that has some magical elements to it and that will really suck you in and make you want to go and do some gardening, because that's when I was a child, whenever I read this book I felt like going outside and doing some gardening, so I don't know, it's another reason to read it, I suppose.
Hi, my name's Olivia and my channel is iLivvyForBooks, and one of my favorite middle grade reads is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. It's actually kind of a recent read for me. I read it in the past year or two before the movie came out. There's a movie adaptation which I still haven't seen, But my favorite thing about this book is the overall message of choosing kindness. It is so beautiful. It's about a child who has a facial deformity who is going to a public school for the first time, and it's seriously so touching to me. I read this and I really do feel like everyone, this is a good book for everyone to read. The world could use more kindness, and yeah, I love this one. I really need to see the movie, and I think you should read it too.
Hello everybody, it's Kristen here. I am super excited to share with you guys one of my favorite middle grade books. It's actually a series, but first, before I show it to you guys, a little suspense. Just want to say a big thank you to Krista from Books and Jams and Katie from Life Between Words for asking me to share about one of my favorite middle grade books. I think this is such a great read-a-thon. This is such a great idea. Without further ado, I'm just going to start talking about it. So the books that I'm going to be recommending is the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan. This is a middle grade kind of urban fantasy series. It's all about Greek gods and Greek mythology, and the series focuses around our main character Percy Jackson, and he is a demigod, which is half human, half Greek god. And at the beginning of the series, he doesn't realize that he is a demigod, but through a series of events, he discovers that he meets great friends along the way, and he goes through such great adventures. These books are so much fun. They're funny, they're adventurous. So I am totally recommending this series. The first two books in the series were made into movies. They're okay, but the books are awesome. So I am definitely recommending this series.
Hi everyone, it's Nicole, and I'm here bringing you a book review video. In honor of Middle Grade March, I am going to be reviewing A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline Engel. I first read this book when I was in, I think, about 4th or 5th grade, and I reread it a little while ago because the movie is coming out in March 9th, I believe. I'm one of those people who have to read the book first and then see the movie, so it's kind of fresh in my brain. A Wrinkle in Time follows Meg Murray and her brother Charles Wallace as they attempt to try and rescue their father, who mysteriously disappeared after some experimentation with dimensions and time travel. Along the way, they meet some pretty helpful people. All of them are helping them try to rescue their father from the evil who has him imprisoned. This book is very engaging and whimsical, and it's not so in-depth where you can't enjoy the story as you're reading it. Let's face it, time travel is a very difficult concept to grasp. At the very least, we're talking theoretical physics. And the author does a really good job of not bogging down the reader with scientific facts, and instead creates a world with genuine characters and makes you a believer that time travel could actually happen. This book is a fantastic start for little ones who might one day love the fantasy and sci-fi genre. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So if you haven't read it yet, I urge you to before the movie comes out. I hope you enjoyed my review. I'll see you next time, avid readers.
Hey guys, it is April from Getting Hygge With It. I am here to share with you my favorite middle grade book, and that is A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Now, she also wrote The Secret Garden. This is my favorite because of our main character, Sarah. Sarah comes to stay at Miss Minchin's School for Girls and is very, very rich until her father is thought to be dead, and Miss Minchin decides to make Sarah a servant. And yet through all of it, she maintains her self-confidence, and she is able to look at the world and still find magic within it. I love Sarah because I think she is a really wonderful role model for little girls, and I think she's a wonderful friend and teaches that to kids, and can also teach them the value and the importance of self-worth. So that's my favorite.
Hey guys, my name is Katie, and I make videos on YouTube as Girl About Library. And my favorite videos to make on YouTube are quick book reviews, so here we go. My favorite middle grade read is Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. That is a mouthful. Where the Red Fern Grows is a historical fiction novel set in the early 1900s in Oklahoma. The main character, Billy, desperately wants 2 coonhound dogs. That's like all he wants in life, but his family can't afford them. So he goes around town doing odd jobs in order to earn the money to get the dogs. Once he has them, it's instant love, and they all go on lots of adventures. It's a feel-good story, for the most part. As a kid, I think I loved this book as much as I did because I was also beginning to find my love for animals. I had just gotten my first dog, and so I really connected with Billy and his desire to have a dog. As an adult though, I really appreciate this book for its language. There are many poignant and memorable moments that are just beautifully written. And I love that this book could do both of those things so well. It could be really well written while also being accessible for new readers. Where the Red Fern Grows will break your heart and also make you hold your dog a little bit closer. Happy reading.
My name is Julie, and I am from the Booktube channel, Pages and Pens, and I'm here to talk to you about my favorite middle grade book, The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgkins Burnett. And the reason why I love this for a middle grade so much is that it follows a girl who is deeply unlikable at the beginning of the book and then comes into her own, learns some life lessons, finds a great friend, and finds a family in a place that once felt very cold and alone and scary. In this, we follow a character named Mary. She came from India, where unfortunately a plague has ravaged the town that her parents and her used to live in. Everybody has passed on except for her. She is sent to go live with her uncle in this giant sprawling manor. She's only known India, only known having servants. She's been very willful and spiteful. And then she's sent here and her uncle's pretty cold and pretty distant, and there's nobody to really befriend her until there is. And there's this wonderful garden that's been neglected that she's found and makes her own, and I've continued to love it upon rereads as an adult. If you're looking for a classic, because I know a lot of us like to throw classics into our TBRs, I think this is a fantastic one. It will forever be my favorite middle grade. Thank you so much to Krista for inviting me to be a part of this middle grade collab that she is doing, and I hope you guys will pick up The Secret Garden.
Hey y'all, my name is Samantha Leanne from over at Leanne's Lit, and my favorite middle grade book is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. This is part of the Chronicles of Narnia. This is an extremely well-loved book, and honestly, there's probably not that many people who haven't read it. However, if you haven't, I highly encourage you to do so. The writing in this book is spectacular. His writing really transports you into the magical world that is Narnia, and it's so much fun following the adventures of the Pevensey children and seeing the lessons that they learn along the way. This book has also been adapted into a movie, which was actually a pretty decent adaptation in my personal opinion. Obviously nothing compares to the book because what does? But this is a book in a series that I absolutely love. It really got me into reading whenever I was a kid, so I have a special place in my heart for this book and series, which is why it is my recommendation.
Hi, I'm Jess from Jess McGlynn, and my favourite middle grade book or books was the Relatable series by Brian Jacques. This is the second book, Martin the Warrior, and I think that there were over 20 books in total in this series, but I just have such nostalgic feelings about these books. If you're not familiar with the Relatable series, then think animals, think medieval setting, think evil spreading across the land and a brave hero having to go out and stop the evil from happening, and that's pretty much the plot of each book in a nutshell. I remember reading these books when I was in my mid-teens, although I'm currently rereading them with my daughter who is about to turn 9, and I love them just as much as I did the first time I read them. And in fact, I think that these are the first books that I can remember ever making me cry, because I just became so attached to the characters, and I'm pretty certain that these books are the reason that I love such strong character development in my books to this day. They aren't perfect, they're a little bit problematic, as I mentioned before. I think that the books certainly are a little bit formulaic. The same type of thing happens in every story, but each story focuses on a different character who has a different backstory. They're full of adventure, they're full of coming of age, overcoming yourself, having to believe in yourself and make friends, and just so much lovely stuff. And on top of that, Brian Jacques just has a way with words. He really creates a rich environment that you can really picture and imagine, and yeah, I just absolutely adore these books. As I said, they're not without their flaws, but I think that if you're looking for a solid fantasy middle grade book, then you cannot go wrong with the Relatable series.
Hey
Hey friends, it's Hope from my channel, Hope Ortego. Krista asked me to recommend one of my favorite childhood books for one of her challenges for Middle Grade March, and I'm so excited to participate by giving her a recommendation. One of my favorite childhood books was Junie B. Jones. The Junie B. Jones book series really ignited the fire underneath me to become a reader. I loved her character. I loved her personality. I thought she was so full of spunk. She was unique, nothing like I had ever read before, and she really encouraged me to just be my true self when I was younger and find my love for reading. So feel free and choose whatever one you want. I'm not too picky. So Krista, I hope you enjoy a Junie B. Jones book just as much as I did when I was a kid.
Hey Booktube, Sean here from Eclectic Reads, and I want to talk to you about one of my favorite books from childhood, The Indian in the Cupboard by Lynn Reed Banks. This book is about a little boy named Omri who gets for his birthday from his best friend a little toy plastic Indian. He doesn't like the gift, so he puts it away in a metal cupboard and locks it with his great-grandmother's mysterious skeleton key. Suddenly he hears a knocking in the metal cupboard, opens it to discover that the toy Indian has come to life and is an Indian warrior named Little Bear. And this begins a series of 5 books of Omri and Little Bear's adventures. This is one of the books that got me really into reading. I used to read this book cover to cover, and then as soon as I finished, I would read it again. Like immediately. I'd get to the last page, and I'd be riding with my parents. I'd get to the last page, and I'd just go back to the beginning and read it again. And then when Return of the Indian in the Cupboard came out, I would read this and that back to back. I haven't read this since I was a kid, and I am really looking forward to going back to this world and rereading The Indian in the Cupboard for Middle Grade March. And I hope you'll pick it up too.
Hello everyone, I'm Robin from The Driftless Reader, and Krista from Books and Jams asked me to make a video in which I talk about my favorite middle grade book. Now, I had a really hard time deciding which middle grade book was my favorite because there are just so many, but there was one book that stuck out to me the most, and that is Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Ralls. I read this book in 5th grade. It tells the story of 10-year-old Billy, and he decides that he really, really wants a dog, and his family is unable to afford it, so he does all sorts of jobs to make money in order to buy them himself, and he ends up buying 2 dogs, 2 coonhounds, Old Dan and Little Ann, and they just go on so many adventures together. They go hunting every single day together, and it just is a beautiful story of a boy and his dogs, and the love that he has for these dogs, and the love that they have for him in return. You will need a box of Kleenex for the end of this book, but this book still has stuck with me. I'm 30 years old now, and I still remember reading this in 5th grade. So definitely a beautiful, beautiful book. Highly recommend.
Hey guys, it's Stephanie from That's What She Read, and I'm here to talk about one of my favorite middle grade books from my childhood, and that is Judy Blume's Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. Now, this is the first book in a series, and this whole series just has such a special place in my heart. These were read aloud books when I was in grade school. My teacher would read a chapter every day after recess to kind of get us back into school mode from play mode. And just the time in my life at which these books were read to me was so great because my baby sister had just been born, and the premise of the story is a new baby coming into the family and kind of the subsequent feelings that go with that. And I had been an only child for at that point my whole life. And so these books were hilarious, and Judy Blume is so great at really tapping into the anxieties of children and the feelings that children have. And so these books to me were just so relatable. They were hilarious. Our entire class was just in stitches, laughing every day after recess with these chapters. And I absolutely love them, and I can't wait till my son's old enough for me to read them to him, for sure. So that is Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing by Judy Blume.
Hi everyone, my name is Carl from my channel X Belly Art Books, and today for Middle Grade March I want to recommend Private Peaceful by Michael Mapurgo. I read this book absolutely years ago. I think I was still in primary school when I read this, and this book really made an effect on me as a child. I really loved this. This book follows two young brothers, the elder brother Charlie and the younger brother Thomas, and it takes us from when he was a child till him and his brother actually go to war in the First World War. This type of book reads so well for all ages. Like, I read this as a child, but I understood all of the themes and everything that was going on so well, and even reading it as an adult, it still brought me to tears. It is so moving. The relationship between these two brothers is fantastic. It deals with pride, courage, fear. My soul was in pieces at the end of this. If any of you are looking for a book that's really going to put you right back in those scenes with those characters, and give this one a go. It is so good. Just do it. Just do it. It won't take you long. Just do it.
The slithery D. He came out of the sea.
He ate all the others, but he didn't eat me.
The slithery D. He came out of the sea.
He ate all the others, but he didn't eat
me. Nice. Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Christina.
And we're from Game of Tomes, and we would like to convince you to read scary stories to tell in the dark, collected from folklore and retold by Alvin Schwartz.
And illustrated by Stephen Gamble.
So you read this one in middle school?
I did, and I actually went to a sleepover with a bunch of other girls, and we told stories from this book in the dark with a Halloween soundtrack playing in the background.
Spooky. As a young person, I always loved performance and storytelling and reading aloud, and I remember reading more scary stories to tell in the dark to my little cousin.
Yeah.
And reading it in a really spooky voice, and it was the middle of the day, and there was a ghost in the story, and I would get loud, and I remember she got really scared and she covered up the picture really quick, like, I don't want to look at it anymore. And it was so cute, and I hope I never forget that.
Good.
So good memories.
I definitely pick this one up if you're in a spooky mood, and maybe tell them in the dark.
Happy middle grade March.
Hi everyone, this is Maria from Read, Create, Repeat Homeschool, and I'm going to recommend Stella by Starlight by Sharon M. Draper for middle grade March. This would fulfill your diverse books requirement, and Sharon is an own voices author, which I really appreciate. It is set in 1930s North Carolina, where Stella is a little girl who wants to become an author, but she is also dealing with her community and the race relations that are affecting it. She and her brother see some Ku Klux Klan activity, which put both she and her entire community in danger. And you get to see from her writing just how she processes through it, how the community really rallies together. It's a story about hope and togetherness, resistance in the face of adversity, and I just really recommend this book. Sharon also based a lot of it on the diary that she found that her own grandmother wrote, which I think makes it a really special read. I hope you all get a chance to get to it, especially if you like social justice issues or race relations in your books.
Hello everyone, my name is Mary. This is Gaskell, my cat, who wanted to join the video. I make videos over on Happily Ever Esh. I really love middle grade, and I have a lot of classic favorites that I adored as a child, but a really great one that I've recently read is The Wish Tree by Katherine Applegate. This follows an old tree that has lived in a neighborhood for a very long time named Red. This is a sweet middle grade about friendship, acceptance, and using your own voice even when it's really hard to stand up for what is good and right. We follow a budding friendship between two people in this neighborhood. One is a young girl who has recently immigrated to the United States, and another is a little boy who's lived in the neighborhood for a while, and we just see how their friendship just becomes really powerful and just a beautiful thing. The storytelling is really whimsical and fun, so it has a wonderful middle grade feel, but it's a really important and amazing story, and I would highly suggest this for the diversity challenge, as it features a lot of different characters and different stories and different backgrounds. This is one that I think adults and children and everyone in between can enjoy, so I hope that you do if you pick it up.
Hi guys, I'm Brittany from Brittany Freaking Reads, and Krista asked me to share with you all one of my favorite middle grade books. So the book I chose is Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry by Mildred D. Taylor. It's a book about a Black family living in rural Mississippi during the Great Depression. And it's kind of their fight for the land that they live on, their fight against poverty and against the racism that would try to keep them in poverty and keep them from having the things that are very important to them and from being successful. It is a just beautifully written, heartwarming story. It's very thought-provoking. I feel like it does an amazing job of making you think about important issues like race. The Logan family is extremely endearing and funny, and they're very perseverant and tenacious about what's important to them. I did want to give you a little bit of a warning that there are some intense moments in the book. There are moments of mild violence, and also the racism is pretty intense at times as well. That book was the first time that I can remember when I was reading something being like, oh, I didn't know a book could make you feel this way. I didn't know a book could transport me and make me have the life experience of someone who is completely different in just about every way than I am. And that's when I fell in love with reading. So I would highly recommend this book. I hope that you love it as much as I did.
Hello, I'm Lucy from Bookaxe, and my middle grade recommendation is the diverse book Freedom Swimmer by Y. Chim. Now, this is a book set in China in the 1960s, so during the time of communism, and it is about the friendship between two boys, one from the country and one from very different circumstances in the city, who are thrown together and form this really unlikely friendship. And it leads them to make sort of some pretty momentous life decisions that help them survive in communist China. So it's a really great book for learning about another country and another bit of history that you might not know about. But it is also a book that in a really universal way asks the reader to look beyond superficial differences and make up your own mind about what you have in common with people and who you want to be friends with and really who you want to be yourself. And that is why I think it is a really fabulous middle grade read.
Hey Krista, it's Bree from Bree Hill, and I wanted to quickly share with you the book that I'm super excited to pick up for middle grade March, and that is Theodosia and the Serpents of Chaos. This is book 1 in Theo's 4-book series, and in it we meet Theo. She's a young girl who spends most of her time in the Museum of Legends and Antiquities in London, and she's surrounded by all of the artifacts that her parents have dug up and bought into the museum. But unlike her parents, Theo can actually see all of the curses and black magic attached to all the artifacts. And one day her mother brings in the Heart of Egypt, which is a super cursed amulet that belongs to this really important ancient tomb. This amulet is threatening pretty much to destroy the British Empire where Theodosia lives. I'm super excited to finally get into it. I love really smart and determined heroines, so I cannot wait to read Theodosia's story.
Hi, my name is Amber. My channel name is Amber Eats Books, and I'm here today to do a middle grade recommendation. The book that I chose to recommend is Chasing Lincoln's Killer by James L. Swanson. This is a nonfiction book. My son had to read this during 5th grade. He absolutely loved it and wanted me to read it. He begged me to read it, and finally I did, and I could see what all the fuss was about. This was highly entertaining and engaging. It was just a fast-paced thriller of a nonfiction book from start to finish. If you want a book that is going to keep you engaged but also teach you a few things, this is one to pick up.
Hi everyone, I'm Molly from Molly Reads, and my favorite middle grade book at the moment is Nevermore: The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I don't have a physical copy of the book because I actually read it at the library, but the cover is really fun, and that's exactly what this book is. It's an adventure, it's whimsical, it's enchanting, and I just loved it so much. It's about a cursed girl who escapes her death and finds herself in a magical world called Nevermore. And there she meets a group of quirky people who really become a family to her, including Jupiter North, the man who rescued her. And he's chosen her to contend for a place in the city's most prestigious organization, the Wondrous Society. She has to compete in these trials in order to stay in Nevermore, otherwise she has to confront her deadly fate. And it's just so crazy, and I love it so much. This book is incredible. It's about belonging and secrets and family and believing that you can do impossible things, and it really ticks off all of my boxes for a good middle grade book. So I hope that you'll pick it up and it will be one of your choices for Middle Grade March, which I'm so excited about. I'll be reading right alongside you guys. So I will see you then.
Hi everybody, it's Catherine from Jane Catherine on Books, and here's a quick video for Krista's Middle Grade March. The first one is my all-time favourite and it's rather battered. It's The Secret Island by Enid Blyton. I love this. I know some people think Enid Blyton is a little bit outdated now. Some of the writing isn't always quite PC, but all-time favourite. It's still a cracking good story. You let yourself pretend that you're on this deserted island and it's lovely. The book I'm about to read, 1,000-Year-Old Boy by Ross Welford. This is a story about a little boy who has actually been alive for 1,000 years. He spends the whole book, I believe, trying to find a way to make sure that he dies, because being 1,000-year-old isn't all it's cracked up to be. I'm looking forward to reading that next. And quickly and finally, my favourite middle grade book for 2017, and this is Evie's Ghost by Helen Peters. This is middle grade with a little bit of magical realism because it's set in present day, but also Evie goes back in time through a door in the house where she's staying and ends up back in time as a parlour maid in the 1814s. It's very well written. It was a 5-star read for me. Big thank you to Krista for asking me to send you my recommendation. So, Evie's Ghost, 1,000-Year-Old Boy, and my all-time favourite, The Secret Island by Enid Blyton. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, Krista.
Hi guys, I'm Kelsey from the channel Hardback Haven, and today I'm here to talk to you guys about one of my favorite middle grade series. It's a graphic novel, Amulet by Kazu Kibushi. This is currently a 7-book series about a young girl and her brother who were thrown into a magical world after a family tragedy. The artwork is vibrant and beautiful, and the story itself is fast-paced and action-packed, and I just love it. There's sci-fi elements like spaceships and robots, but you've also got your classic fantastical elements like magic and elves and things. I love all the little characters that we meet along the way and thoroughly enjoyed their adventures in the first 7 volumes, and I think you would too. If you're looking to dip your toes into graphic novels or fantasy in general, I think this would be a wonderful place to start.
Hi guys, my name is Jenna from the Booktube channel Jen the Librarian. I am so excited that Krista and Katie asked me to send them a clip for Middle Grade March. I'm so excited to participate. As you might know from my channel name, I am a youth services librarian at a small public library here in Florida, and I love reading middle grade. It's one of my favorite categories. I wouldn't say genre. Middle grade is not a genre, it's an age range, but I would say that middle grade is one of my favorite book categories to read. I find it generally really uplifting and sweet and fun and full of adventure, so I'm really excited to participate in Middle Grade March. And the book that I am going to personally recommend to you guys is the first in a new fantasy series. The first book came out in late 2017. It's called The Adventurers Guild by Zach Lauren Clark and Nick Eliopoulos. I'm not sure how to pronounce Nick's last name, but I will insert a picture of it right here for you to see. Like I said, it's the start of a middle grade fantasy series. I absolutely loved it. It blew me out of the water. It totally surprised me how much I really enjoyed this book, and I would highly recommend it to anybody. So that being said, happy to meet you, and I'm excited to participate in Middle Grade March.
Hey guys, my name is Sarah and I am from the channel Sarah's Nightstand, and there is a middle grade series that I have been reading recently that I have really been enjoying, and I love to recommend it to everybody who is interested in picking up a middle grade book, and that is The Land of Stories by Chris Colfer. Chris Colfer is the star of Glee. He played Kurt in that show, if that's something that you have watched and enjoyed, and he started writing some children's books, and these are fantastic. These books follow a set of twins, and they grew up with a book that their parents owned, and it was called The Land of Stories. Come to find out, they could actually go into this book and be a part of these stories. And in these stories are characters that we grew up reading about, such as Cinderella and Snow White and Rapunzel and Mother Goose and Red Riding Hood. So you're seeing the characters, but their lives are completely different than what we are used to knowing. And just the way that he has really redone a lot of these characters is so creative, and my daughter and I are reading them together, and we are both really, really enjoying it. So if you have not picked up the Land of Stories books yet, I highly, highly recommend them. This is the first one. It's called The Wishing Spell. These are fantastic, and I highly recommend them.
Greetings, fellow humans, and I'm actually one of the minority in the males who enjoy middle grade, apparently. I am JD Estrada. I am an indie author from Puerto Rico, and I love to read everything, including middle grade. In terms of what book I would recommend, one of the best middle grade books I've ever read has to be The Phantom Tollbooth. When's the last time that you saw a book that made grammar and math fun? It is a truly special journey to be able to tag along with Milo. It is very near and dear to my heart, and I think it's something that everyone should read, not just kids, not just older kids, or even bearded and late 30s kids. So by all means, check that one out. Cheers.
Hello everyone, it's Mal here from Mal's Bookland Adventures, and my recommendation for middle grade March is the Murder Most Unladylike series by Robin Stevens. My daughter and I, we're both reading the series. My daughter is 11, so she's bang on a middle grader. And we both really like the series because it is a murder mystery, and it features really very realistically the friendship between two girls. Hazel is from Hong Kong. She is Chinese, and she's been sent by her father to attend a boarding school in England in the 1930s, where she meets Daisy Wells, who is pretty much your prototype English girl from a very good family. She's an honorable. And a murder happens at their school, and Daisy and Hazel set out to investigate. I absolutely adore the depiction of girl friendship. I adore the humor in it, and I adore Robin Stevens as an author. So yeah, I highly, highly recommend this series for anyone who likes a murder mystery and wants to read some middle grade fiction. I think this series is absolutely brilliant.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found a few books that you're going to be checking out during the month of March. I have linked all of these amazing booktubers in the comments down below. Please go and check out their channels. Subscribe to some new people that you may have never heard of before. And also let me know in the comments if you'll be participating in Middle Grade March and what book or books that you plan on reading. If you make a TBR video, make sure to link that as well so that I can be sure to go and watch it and support you throughout the month. I'm so excited. Here we go, just a couple days from now. I'm also putting a link down below to the giveaway. We have just a couple more days for that. Katie and I are giving away a copy of The Girl Who Drank the Moon, and we will be announcing the winner during our Instagram live show that will be happening on Katie's Instagram at Life Between Words on Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern or 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And we will be announcing the giveaway winner and also sharing some of our TBR and recommendations and just chatting about middle grade books. Be sure to check in on that and chat with us there. Also chat with me down in the comments below. You know I love it. I think that's it. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will for sure be talking to you all about middle grade books throughout the month of March. I look forward to chatting with you soon, and I'll see you later. Bye.